So this video will be popular books that I won't read. I was going to do an anti-TBR book tag video, but I feel that concept's a little too limiting. So I just wanted to list off all the series and books that I won't read. And I'll just go in order from what I wrote it down. The Myths of Avalon by Marion Zimmer Bradley. If you're unfamiliar, this book series is about Arthurian legend, but it's from the viewpoint of the women. I think Morgan Le Fay and other characters. But we found out that in a letter by her daughter that she was abused by both of them when she was young, the Marion Zimmer Bradley's daughter, and that Marion covered for her pedophile husband. And they did a lot of terrible things. And some people say, like, oh, when you have a problematic author, just separate the art from the author. And it's hard to do that, you know, especially when, you know, they're dead. Or, yeah, I think they're dead. And you know, they're accused of being pedophiles. So it's something gross that I won't be able to ignore. So it's definitely not something I'm going to be able to read. I've had multiple chances to pick up this book for $1 from different sales, but then I found out about that and I was like, it is definitely not a series that I can get into simply because of that alone. The next one will be the Harry Potter series. I never got into the Harry Potter series as a child because my parents were super religious, you know, I think it's called Hogwarts School for Witchcraft and Wizardry. That title alone for the school is enough to make any super pseudo-religious parent not want their young child to read it, because they think that reading a fantasy book will make kids do witchcraft, which isn't real, by the way. Anyways, so I never jumped on the Harry Potter train, and I've always wanted to. I've seen a couple of the movies, but then, you know, some recent stuff happened with J.K. Rowling, and she's what you'd say invincible, in the sense that she can say whatever she wants and it doesn't really matter. She's in a position where she's almost a billionaire, and, you know, you can't really cancel her because she doesn't really work for anyone. I mean, she already has the money, you know, she's already spent years building up this, you know, this career of hers. You know, how do you cancel something? So she, you know, uses her powers for evil and, you know, takes on the trans community in a bad way. So let's move on. Game of Thrones by it's A Song of Ice and Fire by George R.R. Martin. The reason why I won't read this series has nothing to do with the problematic author. It's just that it's not done. And I don't like reading series where it's not done. You know, like, same with TV shows. I always get iffy about people jumping on the newest TV shows because TV shows can get canceled pretty quickly. We're living in the golden age of television where, you know, 50 new shows show up every year and, you know, not all of them make it. And you don't want to be sitting there in the middle of your favorite show and it's like, by the way, canceled, you know. I don't like having the rug pulled out from under me. So I think there's like 5 books out right now or so, and I think I read something that said that George R.R. Martin will not write the last book of the series until he writes the one before it. So he hasn't even started the one after Winds of Winter. So, I mean, Winds of Winter is taking forever as well. He wants it to be good. He's doing all this stuff. He's writing it, apparently. So it's going to be a long time, and I don't feel like getting into this series without, you know, having a resolute ending. Not that I'm saying they're never going to be written, but I don't want to invest myself in a, you know, dense, heavy, multi-character book series without a proper ending, just in case. The next one we have here is the Girl with the Dragon Tattoo series, or Millennium, by Stieg Larsson. He did the first 3, and then he got moved on with David Lagerkrantz doing, I think, another 3 or 4. And I missed the train on this one. You know, I definitely watched all 5 movies, and I just don't feel like getting into the rest of the books. The first 3 would be just retreading stuff I already know, and then I don't want to start with the David Lagerkrantz books because that's, you know, the subject matter can be pretty dark, and, you know, the movies themselves, it made me squeamish a little bit. So I missed the train on this, and I actually did own the trilogy, but I unhauled it because I just don't feel like getting into this series. I heard it's good though, but I just not interested. I've already missed the train. So moving on. The Lord of the Rings by Tolkien. Yeah, this is blasphemy. I do own them. I've owned them since high school. I have not been able to read them because the dense prose. I might try reading them again someday, but, you know, because I'm a completely different reader than I was when I was in, you know, high school. In high school, I was more of a sci-fi dystopian kind of guy. I've only gotten into fantasy literally last year. So, I mean, I could give this one another chance. I do own them, but at the moment, I don't have any plans to try. It's just too hard. I'm sorry. The next one is the Maze Runner series by James Dashner. When I read the first book, I thought it was okay, but I hated the ending. You know, it's cliffhanger stuff. And then now that we found out about his sexual harassment stuff, I don't really want to read the other books. And to be honestly, perfectly clear, I never had any intention of reading the Maze Runner books before the sexual harassment. So that only just puts the nail in the coffin. Up next is the Clive Cussler's books, all of them. I tried to read Sahara because I really enjoyed the movie with Matthew McConaughey. I enjoyed it. And I tried reading the book, and it was really dense. He does a lot of dense prose. I just remember not having a really bad visceral reaction to trying to read the first book, or Sahara anyway. And I will not be checking out any of this author's books. The next one is Ellen Hopkins' free verse novels. I had a friend who really enjoyed these and let me borrow one. She did not tell me they're free verse. So I tried, first page I was just like, oh, I can't do this, I'm sorry. And I gave them back to her. Yeah, I'm not really into free verse poetry books. I do like poetry in general, but I have to know that it's poetry. The next one will be the Dustlands trilogy by, I want to say Moira Young. Yeah, that's her name. Yeah, this is a dystopian sci-fi trilogy about a young woman looking for her brother or something. It was optioned to be turned into a movie or TV show by Ridley Scott, so I was like, ooh, dystopian sci-fi, I'm down. And the book does the weird prose thing. Let me see if I can find an example. Page 2. Because everything's set, it's all fixed. The lives of everybody who's ever been born. The lives of everyone still waiting to be born. It was all set in the stars the moment the world began, the time of your birthing, the time of your death, even what kind of person you're gonna be, good or bad. If you know how to read the stars, you can read the story of people's lives, the story of your own life, what's gone, what's now, and what's still to come. Back when Pa was a boy, he met up with a traveler, a man who knew many. See, that's the thing. They have like the slang of you saying your and all that, but it's sparingly in there, and then the rest of the book is normal. So it's really hard to do that, and it was jarring for me. Yeah, it's like a slang, fur, you know, instead of for. Things like that. I just couldn't get into it, and I'm not going to. So let's see what else I got on this list. There's a pretty big list, to be honest. Nevernight by J. Kristoff. I really wanted to get into this novel series, but I read the preview on Google, and I'm not into that flowery prose. And there's other problematic stuff in there that made me cringe, going for the real, you know, edgelord stuff, and I'm not going to read one book versus 3, so that's just off the table. I'm just saying that now. I'm not giving it a chance or anything. The next one is going to be the Robert Langdon books. Yeah, this is another book series I missed the train on. I borrowed the first one, Angels and Demons, from a friend, but then we had a fight and she wanted it back, so I never got it from the library. And then, you know, Da Vinci Code came out, or this was when Da Vinci Code came out. Da Vinci Code came out, the book, everyone loved it, but people didn't really know that Angels and Demons came out before it. So I didn't get into those first 2, then they made the movies, and they made a 3rd one, and a 4th one, and I believe a 5th one. Yeah, it's just I've missed the train on these, but I have read Dan Brown's other non-Robert Langdon thrillers, Deception Point and Digital Fortress. Those are good. But yeah, I'm just not going to go back and read all those. That's like 5 books, and I've missed the train. It's over. It's okay. Moving on. The last one on this list is Brissinger and Inheritance. Yes. These 2 were written a while ago. I read the first 2, Aragon and Eldest, in high school. Didn't quite like them because they're very derivative of Lord of the Rings meets Star Wars. It's not a big deal, but a lot of people like to say, like, oh, he was only like 16 years old and, you know, it's his debut. Cut him some slack. No slack. No slack. You didn't have to write this book. You didn't have to put it out there. You didn't have to get your parents to publish it. You know, if you're going to do that, you're open to criticism. But Anyways, I've heard interesting things about the third and fourth book. He was just going to do one book, but then he did like 3 or 2. He's going to call it Empire. But then he did Brisinga and Inheritance, and those are the last books. And they're really long, too. I hear they're very indulgent and better than the first 2. But I have no interest in reading the third and fourth book. And so that's how I feel about that. And those are the books that I will not be reading.